In this video, I'm going to talk about practicing. This is one of the biggest questions I get with new guitar players. How much should I practice? What should I practice? Is there a time of the day that's best for practice? The short answer to the question about practice is, it depends. In reality, it's actually more complicated than that. You should set time every day to practice. Whether it's 20 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, it depends on your schedule. Know that the goals that you want to achieve are heavily dependent on how much you practice. Now, that being said, cramming 4 or 5 hours of practice into one session isn't going to work for a lot of people. The biggest thing is you have to have time for your brain to kind of process what you're trying to learn. And so oftentimes you will find that your progress is not exponential. Essentially, you will have areas of growth and then you kind of plateau a little bit where you're not seeing a lot of progress. So here's some tips to have an effective practice schedule. First of all, set a time every day that you know you're going to practice. It's just like if you're on a swim team or you have football practice or you do your homework at a particular time or whatever it may be. By having that time that's regimented where you get into the habit, you will find that it's easier to keep up that practice regimen. It typically takes people about 2 to 3 weeks to develop a habit, and that's what you want to do, is have a habit where you practice on a regular basis. How much you practice at each setting is really dependent on your schedule. If you're an adult, you may not have that great of a schedule, and it's hard to find time just to sit down and practice. When you do go to practice, here's a few tips. First of all, always make sure your guitar is tuned and then warm up. You always want to be warmed up before you try to tackle some new skill or new technique that you're trying to master. So even I warm up before I really sit down and practice. And I do a lot of the same routine, mundane things, but it's really just to get my hands kind of warmed up. Certain things that I do. Just walking up the guitar. All this kind of helps limber up the hands. It also kind of gets your hands in sync. And then sometimes I do what I like to call tongue twisters or finger twisters. All these different techniques, they're not musical. I'm not going to use that in a song in any place, but it helps get my fingers kind of limbered up so that when I'm trying to work on that new piece or whatever I'm trying to learn, it's a little bit easier. Once you've warmed up, you'll probably want to spend a little time and play some things that you're already comfortable with. Maybe it's a scale. Maybe it's some particular chord changes. Something that you know well to help you kind of loosen up a little bit more. Then take the time and work on whatever new technique you're trying to learn. With any new technique, remember you want to go slow first. You have to crawl before you can walk. You have to walk before you can run. If there's a particular chord change that you're working on, isolate that chord change and work on the bits slowly. So maybe you're working on something like this. For the beginner, these are kind of uncommon chord shapes, especially using your thumb to wrap around for the bass note, or like doing with D with F sharp in the bass. This is something that kind of takes beginners a while to kind of master. Perhaps you're learning how to do bends on the guitar, bend the note. The thing about bends is we're making the guitar more vocal-like. And even then, when you first start out, you want to go slow because B.B. King, very famous for his bends and his vibrato. And a lot of that you master with slow movements. Being able to bend up to a particular pitch. So if I want to go from this pitch to this pitch, or from this pitch to this pitch, So this has been a few tips to help you with your practice routines. If you like this video, click subscribe and hit the like button. If you want to be notified when I post new content, click the bell icon.